The man stood in total darkness. Moments ago, a lightning bolt had struck the roof, setting it on fire, and the power had gone out. After a brief pause, he moved toward the window. He was on the main floor, and the only obstacle had been the electrified mesh. He threw a glass of water at the window, but it only wetted the glass. Grabbing the mesh with all his remaining strength, he ripped it off. The window opened easily. He leapt out and ran toward the forest. He was free. Now, he needed to distance himself from those crazy people. 10 minutes of his fastest run brought him to the edge of the forest. Once hidden among the trees, he collapsed, gasping for air. His body had been worn down to half its strength. If he had gone any further, he wouldn't have made it. Lying on his back, he saw only darkness where he had come from. Good. That meant the power was still out. No one would be searching for him just yet. After several minutes, the dark spots in his vision faded, and his breathing steadied. Slowly, he rose to his feet and moved deeper into the forest. The more trees he could put between himself and the house, the better he'd feel. His survival skills kicked in as he silently navigated the underbrush. If it weren't for the awkward crinolines under his dress, he might have moved even more quietly. The pain from his back and legs, recently inflicted during another punishment, kept him alert. The place he had just escaped from had been a madhouse, a house of sadistic torment. It had been a nightmare, and he had initially thought he'd died and gone to hell. From what he had overheard, his wife and her sister had arranged for him to be either killed or turned into their obedient servant. His anger simmered at the thought. Then, a sound broke through his thoughts. What was that? It sounded like a wounded animal. That could be dangerous on two fronts. It might alert the guards, and a hurting animal could be dangerous too. He moved quietly to investigate and almost laughed. There, in a small clearing in front of a cabin, an old man in a bathrobe was hopping on one foot, the other caught in a bear trap. The curse words the old man uttered were impressive, even by his standards. Some of the language seemed to be from places he'd never visited. What should he do? Help the old man and risk losing his lead on the guards, or continue on his escape? A battle raged in his mind. But as always, ethics won out. He approached the old man carefully, making enough noise to avoid startling him. Holding his hands up in a gesture of peace, he spoke. The old man tilted his head, smiled, and asked, as if nothing were amiss, "Yes, my dear, what can I do for you?" "I was actually going to help you, sir," the man replied. "Ah. That would be most appreciated." Bending over, he tried to open the trap but found it too difficult on his own. "I'm sorry, sir. I don't have the strength to do this by myself. We'll need to work together. It'll hurt, but you need to put weight on the injured leg and use your good leg to help me open the trap. You can lean on me to take some of the pressure off. Okay?" The old man nodded, grimacing in pain, and did as instructed. With a grunt, they managed to open the trap. As soon as the old man pulled his foot free, he collapsed to the ground beside his rescuer. They both laughed as they helped each other up, and he guided the old man to the cabin. "If you have any first aid supplies, I can try to help with your foot." "Ah, lass, that would be most kind. You'll find the supplies over there, near the towels. But, I have to ask, what on earth are you wearing?" As he wrapped the old man's foot in gauze, his face flushed with embarrassment, he explained his situation. "So, you're an escaped prisoner?" the old man asked. "No, sir. I've never committed a crime in my life. My wife and her sister had me locked up to either die or become their mindless servant. I'd rather die than go back." "Well then, what should I call you?" "My name is, please don't laugh, Zokin Delacourt." "The Zokin Delacourt? The self-made millionaire?" With his head lowered, he whispered, "Not anymore. Not after what that creature did to me. I'm a woman now. Yesterday, something happened, and when I woke up this morning, I was no longer male. It's going to be hard to prove who I really am, and those two women who sent me here, they'll get what's coming to them. Zokin's voice cracked as tears filled his eyes, much to his own and the old man's discomfort. Then, just as suddenly, he stopped crying. We need to leave now. That place had guards, and the power is probably back on by now. They'll be able to track me. They implanted enough in me to find me. He stood up, helped the old man by putting an arm around his shoulder to assist with his injured foot, but the old man pulled back. No need, lass. No one's going to hurt either of us here. Zokin froze, fear evident in her eyes. Oh my God! You're not with them, are you? She berated herself. How could I be so stupid? Out of the frying pan, into the fire. Seeing her fear, the old man calmly reassured her, no one will harm you. Yes, I'm associated with Lady Ruby, but we have a contract, only convicted felons are sent here. Someone's been meddling, and I'm not pleased. Come with me, and I'll figure out if you're telling me the truth. Zokin glanced around the modest two-room cabin, confused about where they could go. The old man walked to the center of the room, grabbed a broomstick, and tapped a spot on the floor. With a rumble, a hole appeared, and an elevator cab slowly rose into the room. He grinned at her and gestured for her to enter. Hesitant but somehow trusting him, she stepped inside, inspecting the normal elevator interior. The old man followed, pushing the button marked lab. Down they went. Though only 10 minutes passed, it felt like an hour. They arrived at a massive laboratory. Zokin looked around in awe, but her exploration was interrupted when the old man took her arm and guided her to a machine with a plate extending from it. Place your hand here, lass, and stay still until it's done scanning. When it beeps, you can remove your hand. All right? He smiled reassuringly. As she followed his instructions, a thin light line moved across her palm, and she felt a slight tingle. Why does it tingle? She asked. Sorry, lass, I should have mentioned this. It's one of my greatest inventions. Not only does it scan fingerprints, but it also analyzes your blood without taking a drop. No pain involved, the old man said proudly. After a few moments of looking at the data, he exclaimed, by the stars. The scanner beeped, and Zokin pulled her hand away, only to be grabbed from behind by the old man. Startled, she screamed and struggled to break free. I'm sorry, lass. Didn't mean to frighten ye, he apologized in his thick Scottish accent. You're exactly who you claim to be, no criminal record, not even a parking ticket. But the most important thing is you're exactly what I've been searching for the last 30 years. Sir, please, you're hurting me. What have you been searching for? Realizing his grip, he immediately let go as though she had burned him. Sorry again, lass. Let me take care of a few things, and I'll tell you a fascinating story about your ancestors. He turned toward a flatbed that resembled a tanning bed and made a few adjustments before motioning her over. Zokin walked toward him, muttering, My ancestors? How would you know about them? All in good time, lass. Now lie down, wait, let's get that outfit off first. I have a lab coat for you to wear after, but I need you nude for the scanner. Don't worry, lass, I've seen plenty of women in my time, so don't be shy. We need to get those implants out of you. Without hesitation, Zokin quickly stripped off the hated uniform. She didn't care if she ripped it, and within 2 minutes, it was gone. Panting from the effort, she felt a sense of relief at finally being free of it. She lay on the bed, following the old man's instructions. He covered her with a top, and another line of light began to scan her body from feet to head. She felt tingles in her lower back, buttocks, and neck, then the light scanned downward again without her feeling anything. When it finished, the old man's beaming face appeared above her. Well, lass, you'll be pleased to know I've removed all those troubling things from you. I'm ashamed to admit they were of my design, but they were never intended to be used on someone innocent like you. Here, cover up. He handed her a lab coat, and she put it on as she stood up, stepping off the scanner. Looking down at her new body as she covered it, she had to admit it looked good, just not quite her body. So, who do I have to thank for freeing me from all those things inside me? My apologies, lass. I've let my manners slip. I don't entertain lovely young ladies like yourself anymore. As for your question, I am Professor Emile Moriarty III. He bowed to Zokin. But please, call me Emile. I can't very well call such a lovely lass like you Zokin, so what do you think about me calling you Zo? Zo? I like that. It feels right. Yes, Zo it is, she said with a smile. Now, Emile, you are about to explain how you know my ancestors. Yes, of course, but first we need to take care of a few details. We don't want to be disturbed, do we? He turned to a panel on the wall, pressed a button, and waited. A voice came over the speaker. Yes, sir. Barnes, is it? Yes, sir. We had a little problem here. One of the inmates has escaped. Please be careful if you encounter any strangers, especially young women. Our inmate hasn't gone through the reconditioning process yet and could be volatile. Thank you, Barnes. But I must ask, how much do you know about this escaped felon? Nothing personal, sir. You know we only operate on a need-to-know basis here. Good. I'm glad, Barnes. You'll be excused from any disciplinary action. Sir? Are you sitting down, Mr. Barnes? The use of Mr. from the great professor didn't bode well. I am now, sir. Good. This escapee you refer to is my guest. Now, before you say or do anything, please listen to what I have to say. Very well, sir. Is everything all right down there? Yes, everything is fine, thank you. I've confirmed this person's identity and found that not only was he a pillar of the community, but he's never even gotten a parking ticket. In short, Mr. Barnes, he is innocent. I'm not pleased about this. Here's what I want you to do. Stop all procedures on the other felons, don't cause unnecessary pain or death. Ensure everything is secure, take 2 of your best men, and get Lady Ruby. Bring her to the transport site and notify me when ready. I'll bring you here. Don't let her talk you out of anything. As of now, she is a public figure and no longer works for me. Is that understood? Yes, sir. I know who signs my paycheck. We'll be at the transport point in 10 minutes. Out! There was a click, and the professor turned to Zokin. Now, we can get to the bottom of all this. I must apologize for how you've been treated. Unfortunately, even with all my technology, I won't be able to change you back completely. I do have another possibility though, and we'll discuss it over dinner tonight after I handle this unpleasant task. Another beep sounded, and the professor sighed. Here we go. He moved to the center of the lab, where a gold circle surrounded a marble slab, and pushed a button. A podium rose up, and another panel lit up on top. He pressed buttons too quickly for Zo to follow. A beam of light rose from the circle and met the ceiling, followed by the whine of a generator under heavy load. Slowly, 4 figures began to materialize in the circle. Their voices echoed from a distance. What is the meaning of this, Barnes? I'll have you in one of my labs in the morning if you don't release me right now. The voices grew clearer as they fully materialized. You must be referring to my labs, Lady Ruby, the professor said. Professor, what is going on here? Her voice made Zo cringe in fear. That voice terrified her. The professor noticed her reaction and gently took her hand, helping her stand. You have nothing to fear, my child. Never again will you fear anything, he said with a reverence that confused Zo as he guided her to his side. That's the one who escaped. Be careful, Emile, she hasn't been modified, one of the figures warned. I know exactly who she is, Lady Ruby, or should I say, who he was, the professor replied. Allow me to introduce you to your latest victim. Mr. Zokin Delacourt, who, if you had bothered to check, is completely innocent and should never have been in your hands. How do you explain this travesty? Innocent? Professor, I assure you she's not who you think she is. As she spoke, Lady Ruby pulled out what looked like a TV remote, pointing it at Zoe and pressing buttons. Zoe screamed and fell to the floor, but nothing happened. She sat up, clutching her chest, her fear rising as she looked around for a reason why she wasn't dead. Och, lass, dinna forget I took those nasty things out of you, the professor said. Smiling awkwardly, Zoe allowed Emile to help her back up. Sorry, Emile, but I did forget. That woman there has been the source of so much pain for me these past 8 months. She just caught me off guard for a moment. Never again, lass. Never again. Emile turned to Lady Ruby, his tone now serious. Well, Lady Ruby, we have a problem. According to my sources, you've been offered a considerable sum to do what you do best to Zoe here, courtesy of her ex-wife and ex-sister-in-law. If not for a fortunate stroke of luck, I would never have known, at least not until the fiscal year end. Were you planning on keeping this from me, or were you just going to disappear one night? Lady Ruby began to sputter, but before she could gather any steam, the professor interrupted her. We have an agreement, my lady. A contract stating that these facilities are for the modification of incorrigible criminals, male or female. You have violated that contract, and I am dismissing you from your post. It will be up to the authorities to decide if you're charged with any crimes alongside your 2 associates. I've already informed them, and they're on their way. Perhaps next time, we'll see you on the other side of things. I'm sure you'd make a lovely maid. Goodbye. He nodded at Mr. Barnes, who nodded back and pressed another button on the pedestal. The 4 figures slowly faded from view, one of them screeching in terror. Turning to Zoe, Emile smiled and gently took her hand. Now, let's get you out of here, he said, leading her toward the circle. With a burst of light and a tingling sensation, they were suddenly elsewhere. Zoe found herself in a grand living room, a cheerful fire crackling in a walk-in fireplace. Emile was at her side, sighing softly. Be it ever so humble. He turned to Zoe and took her hand, guiding her down a hallway to a beautiful room. The space was elegant, definitely designed for a younger lady, but not overly feminine. It was tasteful and comfortable. This was once my granddaughter's room. I hope you find it as comfortable as long as you're staying here. There are clothes in the cupboards and drawers. You'll find a vanity in the corner stocked with various cosmetics, should you wish to use them. The private bath for this suite is through those doors. Please make yourself at home. I'll have Marie assist you with getting dressed while I prepare dinner. He gave a slight bow and exited the room. Zoe took a moment to look around, impressed by the room's opulence. She opened the closet doors and was stunned by the variety of clothing, shoes, handbags, and more. It was like a mini-mall inside the closet. She stepped back from the treasure trove of clothing and walked to the bathroom. The grand scale of the bathroom took her by surprise. She was no stranger to luxury, having had her own wealth and a lavish home, but this was on a different level. The shower caught her attention, for shower heads, all arranged perfectly. When was the last time she had a proper bath? She couldn't remember. Looking at her armpit, she recoiled. The smell was acrid and unpleasant. It was a wonder anyone could be around her. Yes, a shower was definitely needed. She stripped off the lab coat, adjusted the water to her preferred heat and pressure, and stepped into the stream. Ow, she yelped. The water was too hot, and the pressure too intense. She quickly lowered the temperature by half and reduced the force to a gentle mist. Stepping under the now soothing spray, she felt as if she had been transported to heaven. She lost track of time, simply enjoying the warmth. But suddenly, she realized she wasn't alone. Startled, she turned around and saw a young woman, perhaps 22, standing in the shower with her, unclothed, holding a loofah in one hand and shower gel in the other. "Does Madam wish to shower alone?" the woman asked. Zoe's face softened, the fear of being scolded quickly replaced by sympathy. "No, that's all right. You just startled me. Please, go ahead." "Thank you." "Oh, no, thank you, madam. I take great pleasure in making sure our guests are comfortable." The young woman beamed, and Zoe couldn't help but notice how attractive she was. "You must be Marie, the one Emile told me about," Zoe said, a slight smile forming. "Please, call me Zoe. I'm far too young to be called madam. If you must address me formally, Miss will suffice." "Yes, Miss Zoe," Marie replied, smiling. "The professor said you were very kind." Marie had gently turned Zoe and had started to clean her from neck to toes. All the while she chatted on and on about how long she had worked for the professor and about some of the most incredible places she and the professor had gone to. She turned Zoe around again and started to clean her front. When she got to the chests, Marie didn't even hesitate. It was as if she had done this all the time. For Zoe, it was a new experience. She didn't want to get Marie in trouble for refusing this wonderful shower, but she found herself getting really excited. Her groin was pulsing with a gentle growing heat. Her pointers had stood to attention and Marie had seen her reaction and without a pause in her cleaning started to lick and play with Zoe's pointers and chests. Zoe's head went back against the wall as Marie played her like an instrument. Her first satisfaction as a woman was earth-shattering. She screamed, she was sure. It was the most intense feeling she had ever had. My God! It wasn't over. Marie had just reached her female part and the feeling is multiplied by a factor of 1,000. When the next 3 endings came, she thought she had died and gone to heaven. Not to be outdone and in the sense of fair play, Zoe grabbed Marie and returned the favors. Soon they were on the shower floor moaning and writhing as the gentle warm mist fell on them from above. Literally hours later, the girls helped each other to stand on rubbery legs. Both smiled sheepishly at each other. Zoe was the first to break the silence and in a husky voice made sure that Marie was not going to get in any trouble. "Marie, that was by far the most enjoyable time I have ever had and I can never thank you enough. I do not wish for you to get into any trouble though, so we can just keep this between us if you wish." "Oh no, Miss Zoe. What we did was very enjoyable for me as well and the professor would never mind that we give pleasure to each other. I look forward to many showers with you." Marie had a cheeky smile on her face and Zoe could not resist. Softly she stroked her face and gave Marie a light tender kiss. "As do I, Marie, as do I." Moments later, dried and powdered, Marie was blow-drying Zoe's hair. They both chattered on like sisters or best girlfriends. Soon Marie had Zoe dressed in satin undergarments with sheer stockings attached to the garter tabs of the waist cincher. It was only taken in an inch but made a world of difference on Zoe's figure. Soon dressed in a silk chantenne-style dress that truly flattered Zoe's body and coloring. A quick trip to the vanity and with just the barest minimum of cosmetics, Zoe looked like $1 million. Her hair cascaded down to the middle of her back in gentle natural curves. Finally seeing herself complete for the first time since she was kidnapped, she was astounded. She was, all modesty aside, simply gorgeous. A quick kiss on Marie's cheek and a whispered thanks and Zoe headed to the dining room. Again, the opulence of this place was mind-blowing. It was more in tune for a czar's palace than someone's home. Once seated by a butler in full livery no less, and receiving rave reviews from Emile, Zoe would have happily eaten McDonald's hamburgers. The meal, fortunately, was much better than that. A wonderful veal dish with a mushroom sauce, carrots and corn niblets and a baked potato with sour cream and real bacon bits. Where did Zoe put all that food? After the last course of a nice lime sherbet, they both got up and headed for what seemed to be a library. Just as they were leaving, Zoe leaned into the butler's ear and whispered thanks for the great meal. His ear-to-ear grin spoke volumes. Entering the library, Zoe was struck by the size. There were American towns that had smaller libraries. Also, there was a section just for research. 2 tables were covered in ancient scrolls and parchments. The computer screens all held pictures of artifacts or text from ancient books and scrolls. It was apparent that Emile was very seriously looking for something very specific. Looking at where she was looking, Emile told her, "Yes, so. I have been searching for decades for the information of my species. I thought I was the last, but all these texts and prophecies speak of another. A female. You, Zoe, are that female? We together represent the hope of our very species. Emile, you are speaking as if we are not human, but just look at us. What is it you think we are?" Zoe amazed even herself by how calm she was. She should have been screaming and running from this madman's home. She just knew, deep down in her soul, that Emile was not delusional. Further proof would be her dreams for the last 20 years. Flying on great leathery wings so high the air had an icy bite, yet able to see a mouse on the ground below. The feeling of total freedom, invincibility, and power were not hopes but reality. There were no superior species on this planet. You feel we are dragons, don't you? It was priceless to see Emile's jaw drop in complete surprise. She had stolen his thunder for sure. Giving him a gentle kiss on his cheek, she whispered to him, "I have been dreaming that for over 2 decades, my friend. The how I don't know, but the absolute knowledge of being is there." She smiled at Emile and asked him to explain how he had found out. Emile, knowing the face-saving technique, smiled at Zoe lovingly and started to explain. "While your memory is obviously stored in your RNA, I had to take the more difficult route with blood analysis and years of study. You women always have it easy." Zoe responded with a playful smack on the arm, prompting a cheeky grin from Emile. He continued, talking about ancient papyrus scrolls and rice paper texts. He'd studied stone tablets with pictographs showing dragons soaring through the sky, carefree and free. "Just like my dreams," Zoe told him. Such freedom. The story slowly unfolded, revealing the tale of a mighty race of dragons who ate themselves into extinction. Their insatiable hunger and wild appetites eventually led them to run out of food. Some of the older, less stable dragons turned on the younger ones. The ensuing dragon wars lasted for 1,000 years. In the end, only one tribe remained. This clan of dragons had the most powerful sages, who worked tirelessly, hoping to find a way to escape extinction. Mankind, just emerging from the caves, would never be enough to keep the dragons alive, but the sages stumbled upon a plan. They abducted many humans and experimented on them. Eventually, they created a hybrid, a being carrying both dragon genes and memories to carry their legacy into the future, where they could reclaim their place as the dominant species. The story finished, and Emile turned to Zoe. "Well, my fellow dragon, shall we fulfill the prophecy and reclaim our place in the skies?" "Excuse me?" Zoe chuckled softly. "I remember the dragons, and I have the most vivid dreams of flying, feasting, and making love in the skies, but that, my dear Emile, does not make me a dragon." She smiled, though a hint of sadness touched her face. Deep down, she secretly hoped she could become a dragon and rule the sky. "Ah, Zoe, perhaps that's true," Emile said thoughtfully, "but this might change things." He held up a vial of amber fluid. "According to my research, this elixir should activate dormant DNA sequences that only we carry. Imagine, Zoe, in a world of billions, we're the only 2 dragons left. Would you attempt to become a queen, even if it meant risking your life?" "I know I'll try to become your king, no matter the cost." Zoe stood in silence, deep in thought. Her greedy, selfish wife and her equally manipulative sister had stripped her of any chance at a normal life. What did she have to lose? She turned to Emile, extended her arm, and smiled. "I'm ready, my lord king." Emile's face lit up with joy, tears filling his eyes. "You've validated my very existence. I'll be in your debt forever." He readied a syringe, half filled with the elixir. "I couldn't find a dosage reference, but the recipe was made for 2 people, so we'll assume we each take half." He swabbed Zoe's inner elbow and, without hesitation, injected the elixir into her. Zoe felt a slight burning sensation, followed by a numbness that spread through her body. Strange tugging and stretching sensations rippled through her, but it felt like having a tooth pulled with anesthetic, no pain, just the sensation of something happening. She glanced at Emil and was surprised to see her lying on the floor. Emil had injected himself with the rest of the elixir and was smiling broadly. He glanced over at her, grinning even wider. "Soon, my queen, soon. You're becoming a beauty." Zoe smiled back, a sense of something wonderful taking place within her. She knew, deep down, that this was just the beginning of something incredible. If you appreciated this story and wish to show your support, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel.